3, 2, 1, snap. So that's the V. Again, 2 weeks ago, all those rhododendrons would have been, just close this because the wind is very bad. All those rhododendrons would have been bright purple. It's a shame now, but still you get an idea of it. And I managed to get the drone up, try and splice that video into the final edit if I can. If not, watch out on the Kaza Whaki Instagram, I'm sure I'll upload something to that. But it was very, very windy, very, very windy. I had a few hairy moments there where I completely lost sight of where the drone was, but I could hear it fighting the wind, trying to come back to me, and trying to navigate where it was, and ended up flying it back to the road and flying up along beside the road to try and get it shelter from the breeze that was blowing down, give it a little bit easier for the, hello biker buddies, trying to make it a little bit easier for it to come back because the wind is blowing this way, made it very difficult for the drone to come back. I was hoping to maybe put it up there somewhere and try the active track, but I think it'll be a bit too risky now with the wind that's blowing, because it wouldn't have the obstacle avoidance, and it would also be fighting with the wind. And I mean, the thing about the drone and the wind is I don't think it'll affect the quality of the video footage too much, but it seems to absolutely eat the battery when it's trying to fly into the wind. I mean, I'd say there's only about a 3 or 4 minute video that I did, and I lost, oh look at this, look at this. I was a highway lamb, on the mountain roads I'd ride. More bike buddies. What was I saying there? Yeah, this was only a short 3 or 4 minute video, I'd say. I literally just flew it around the lake and tried to bring it back to me, and it like 35% of the battery just to do that. Like, so I'd be in dread that if I put it out there and drove along the road beside it, that I'd have no way of monitoring the battery, and I might only go for 500 or 600 meters down the road, turn around and find that my drone has crash landed somewhere in the mountains. So I decided against that. We'll try that another day, because I think that would be a cool little clip to have, you know, drone in the air and the bike riding away from us. But we'll see, another day perhaps. Honestly, it's a savage spot to visit on a bike. The road surface is not the greatest, like, but it is a mountain road, so you can't be expecting too much out of it. But just the sights and the scenery, that's the kind of purple I'm talking about. The whole hill will be covered in that purple. It's absolutely incredible, so it is. Highly recommend it. Late May, early June is the time to come. Okay, so we're just outside the town of Cappoquin and we're on the road to Dungarvan now, so I suppose I better start discussing the Master McGrath monument, which is the photo rally point that we're heading for today. Master McGrath monument is just outside Dungarvan, near where the Master McGrath was born. The Master McGrath is a greyhound, for those who don't know, and he is the most famous greyhound in, well, there's two famous greyhounds in the world, both Irish dogs, and both actually featuring in the photo rally. One is the Master McGrath and one is Mick the Miller. Mick the Miller is a statue in Killy, County Offaly, not far from where I am, and the Master McGrath, I think there's two actual Master McGrath points. One is up in the north near Lurgan, I think. I need to check that out. And the other one is here in Waterford, just outside Dungarvan. And the Master McGrath was born here, just outside Dungarvan, in Colligan House or Colligan Lodge, I think, which is, Colligan is a river just outside Dungarvan. And he is the most famous coursing hound. There's two types of greyhounds, really. There's the traditional hare coursing greyhounds, which essentially are set off to chase a live hare across open fields. And there's track dogs who would chase a synthetic hare around a track. Master McGrath was born in 1866, well before track racing became popular or even a thing. More bike buddies out for a fine day. He was born in 1866, and initially he was considered to be something of a runt. He was a very small dog, although he was powerfully built. He was still a small dog, and his owner tried him in a few trials and had no faith in him and gave him away. But luckily, the slipper, who is basically the handlers, the person who releases the hounds, slips them off their leash when they're chasing the hare. He took him in hand and looked after him and trained him and entered him in a few stakes of his own, and he did well, and then he promptly was returned to his owner. And he's famous because he won at that time the big meet, you know, the World Cup for greyhounds was the Waterloo Cup. He was entered in the Waterloo Cup in 68, 69, 70 and 71. And of those 4 races, he won 3 of them. And the one that he didn't win was a very controversial one, because there was reports that he had been drugged, and it was there was a letter from Lord Lurgan, son of Lord Lurgan. Lord Lurgan was the owner of the Master McGrath, and in a letter from his son was informing somebody of the death of the Master McGrath. He mentioned that a bookmaker had doped Master McGrath in 1870, and that the bookmaker had admitted to it afterwards. Shortly before he died, he admitted that he had doped the Master McGrath. So that was the first controversial point of the 1870 Waterloo Cup. The second was that it was run in very, very bad conditions, in sub-zero temperatures, on kind of salt marshes between a railway line and the River Alt, I think it was, and the river was frozen solid. But the course was deemed to be fit for running the the event. A lot of people disagreed. They said it should never have been past fit. But the race took place, and the danger was that between the lines, the railway line and the frozen river, there was a fear that the dogs might come off track or stray onto the frozen river, which is what happened to the Master McGrath. He strayed onto the river in the course of chasing the hare, and broke through the ice and fell into the freezing water. And essentially, if it hadn't been for a slipper, an Irish slipper who was there, Michael Wilson I think was his name, he actually dived into the frozen river and rescued him. And he was near death. The Master McGrath was near death when he was pulled out of the river. And a lot of people contribute, or say that a contributing factor in his ultimate death was that he had contracted pneumonia from falling in the river. But in protest anyway, Lord Lorgan retired him in 1870 and put him out to stud. But in 1871 Master McGrath was back running again, and he won the 3rd Waterloo Cup of his title. And following that, he was actually summoned to meet Queen Victoria. So, a very, very famous dog, particularly in Ireland, widely regarded as the greatest greyhound. And we are actually just coming to the monument here. Oh, now, if I drive down there now, there's not a hope I will. Oh, I would. So that's the Master McGrath monument. There's another mystery around the Master McGrath legend, and that is who actually made the sculpture. No one is actually sure who made it. There's rumours that it was somebody in Kilkenny, erected in 1873, and it was transferred here in 1933. And the Visitors' Cup at Lurgan, 1867, and the Creech Cup in the same month, the Waterloo Cup and the Brownlow Cup in 1868, Waterloo Cup 1869, the Brownlow Cup in 1870, the Waterloo Cup in 1871. And this is the little caveat that they have to put on it. He ran 37 courses in public and lost only one when he was a miss, reference to the bookmaker who had him drugged, and beaten without a struggle in the first round of the Waterloo Cup in 1870. It's an absolutely beautiful sculpture. So now, that's the Master McGrath. Right, time to mosey on. So that was the Master McGrath done and dusted. And while I was there, I met another Photo Rallier, Mervin. Sound fella. Chatting there for about 20 minutes just about all the different points around. And he's like me, he's doing the Irish Phot Rally and the Iron Butt Association Rally. So he's just come from Anstown, which is an Iron Butt point, so I decided, sure, why not? We'll head down there and get that one. Might as well when we're down this far.